I'd like to start by thanking Rachel Frankel for speaking tonight. Rachel is a true role model for me and so many others out there. Having her here brings me real comfort and strength. It is surreal that it's been 3 years since Gabriella died. This is my 5th time speaking about her. I spoke at the funeral, I spoke at the Shloshim, I spoke at the past 2 Azakara. I think I have processed her death to whatever extent a mother can process losing her daughter. I was beside her every step of her 13-year journey, through the hell of her eating disorder and depression, and still, I find myself stunned at how this happened, at how we got here, and at the fact that she is gone. The words from keynote on Tisha B'Av, Oy Mehaya Lanu, echo through my head. If you didn't know Gabriella, you can't possibly grasp what an extraordinary person she was and how much we lost. You have to use a lot of ands to describe Gabriella. She was kind, and she was brilliant, and she was insightful, and she was generous, and she was sensitive, and she was selfless, and she was sincere, and she was giving, and she was graceful, and she was strong, and she was beautiful, and she was creative, and she was serious, and she was responsible, and she was trustworthy, and she was dignified, and she was clumsy, and she was witty, and she was reserved, and she was refined, and she was precise, and she was an amazing educator, and she adored kids, and she was sarcastic and snarky, which was totally unexpected because she was so nice, and she loved music. Sia, Natan Goshen, and especially Eminem, which is probably the thing about Gabriella that most surprised me. And totally randomly and a little weird, she was a huge fan of Shai Abramson, the Chazan Rashi of Tzahal, who does the Kalmali Rachamim at every military tekis. There's no description in the world that can possibly do justice to the incredible and complex person who Gabriella was. Gabriella taught me to view life through the lens of compassion, to judge less and help more, to really listen to people, and to be present for those who need a friend, regardless of what's going on in my own life. Gabriella taught me to be a serious person, a person of truth, a person of grace, a person of substance. Gabriella taught me to always say thank you. Truthfully, I think I may have taught her that, but she did it so well that I'm the one emulating her. Gabriella taught me to dig deep, to find the strength to do meaningful things, even when, especially when, I feel like I don't have the energy. Despite a debilitating eating disorder, crushing depression, and limited mental energy, Gabriella was able to do important things with her life. If someone needed her, she was there for them, to the best of her ability, even when she was at her worst. If she could do it, I feel like my doing the same thing brings honor to her memory. Gabriella taught me to give extra attention to those who need help the most. That was how she lived her life, always looking for people to help. Even though she is no longer here, she continues to inspire me and guide the work that I do. Gabriella taught me to carefully consider my decisions and to make them wisely. After her year of Shirut at the Beit HaYeled, Gabriella was asked to come back and work there the following year. She hesitated to say yes, and I asked her why, because I knew that she loved the work and the kids. She told me that if she went back, she would need to eat meals with the kids, and she would have to eat everything that they ate. Some of those foods were out of her comfort zone. She was only able to make a decision to return after much deliberation. She was a person who honored her commitments, and she wouldn't make one unless she felt she could follow through. Gabriella principle. Again, I would hope that I taught her that, but she did it better. Gabriella taught me to choose the path of grace. Never once in all the years that she was sick did I hear her complain or ask why me. She made the most of the life that she was given, despite the suffering and pain that she bore. She never made excuses. There were times when she couldn't muster the energy to do things, but she always conducted herself with dignity. Her illness robbed her of so many things, but not of her essence, which was pure goodness. She had the most beautiful soul. It was so beautiful that God wanted it back too soon. I'm still navigating the path forward without Gabriella. It's a struggle each and every day. God gave us the most precious gift that was only meant to be ours for 27 years. Despite the grief and the pain, I still consider it an immense privilege to be her mother. My favorite parak of Tehillim has always been David Hashem Ori. There are so many beautiful ideas contained in that parak, but one pasuk in particular is my favorite. Kaveh el Hashem, chazak v'yamet libecha, v'kaveh el Hashem. I have seen a lot of mefarshim on why the words Kaveh el Hashem are repeated twice in that pasuk, but none that resonated as much as something I saw written by Sivan Rahav Meir, sharing a story that happened to Rav Sinai Adler Zatzal, who was the chief rabbi of Ashdod. Hayinu beAuschwitz, צירפו אותנו לקבוצה שנקראה קומנדו חקלאות. כל בוקר הלכנו ברגל במשך שעה כדי לעבוד בחווה חקלאית סמוכה. העירו אותנו ב4 בבוקר בפולין באמצע החורף. היה קר ואנחנו היינו מחכים בבגדי אסירים ליד השער המפורסם שעליו כתוב העבודה משחררת. בוקר אחד ניגש אליי יהודי מתוך הקבוצה. הייתי בחור בן 16 והוא היה אדם בן 40 ששאל אותי, תגיד לי, בפסוק בספר תהילים, קווה אל השם, חזק ואמת צידך, וקווה אל השם, למה נאמר לקוות אל השם פעמיים? לא ידעתי מה לענות לו. והוא אמר, לפעמים אומרים לאדם קווה אל השם, אבל הוא אומר, איך ארגיש עכשיו תקווה? זה נראה כמו שהכל נגמר. אנחנו במצב ולא רואים אפילו זיק של תקווה, שמשהו יכול להשתנות לטובתנו. לכן ההמשך הוא, חזק ואמת ליבך, תתחזק, תתאמץ, אל תאבד את רוחך, אסור להישבר, התאמצת, התחזקת, יופי, עכשיו תנסה שוב לקוות אל השם. During Gavriella's illness, I found something out about myself that I found surprising. Despite my extreme cynicism, at heart, I'm a hopeful person. That hope was really important to me. For so many years, I held hope that Gabriella would recover, even when it seemed improbable and unlikely. But I hoped anyway. And then Gabriella died, and I lost my capacity to hope. I lost that piece of myself when we lost Gabriella. For me, Chazak v'amet libecha meant finding other things to hold hope in. It meant accepting that I would be traveling a different path than I wanted, a different path than I expected. It meant that, like Gabriella, I had to find a way to rise above the pain and to live a life that focuses on the value that Gabriella cherished above all else, helping others. It meant finding a different connection to God, because after losing a child, there had to be some adjustment, even for a person of significant faith. And through all of that, I was able to find my way back to the Kaveh El Hashem. I don't feel connected to Gabriella through a place where she is buried. I feel connected to her through the people who she loved when she was alive and who loved her. I feel connected to her through Netanya and Talia, because in my mind and in my heart, there will always be 3 girls. I feel connected to her through Gilad, whom she loved more than any other sister in history has ever loved a brother. I hope that somehow she can see who is become in her absence. She would be so proud. I feel connected to Gabriella through Netza and Leah, who still talk about her all the time. I feel connected to her through Yair, my greatest Nechama, who was named for her, and who she would have smothered with love. I feel connected to Gabriella through Alan, from whom she inherited so much of her intelligence, her sense of humor, her integrity, and her goodness. I feel connected to Gabriella through those here tonight, both in person and virtually, who knew her and who miss her too. Gabriella is no longer here with us, but her impact remains through those whose lives she touched. I hope that wherever she is, she knows that. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. If the person who sent us the sushi anonymously today is here tonight, thank you so much. It was really sweet and we really liked